What if I told you that for a brief moment, the entire cybersecurity industry nearly lost its universal language? Just this week, with almost no warning, the US government initially decided not to renew MITRE's contract to manage the CVE program, the system we've relied on for 25 years to identify and track security vulnerabilities. It's like waking up one morning to discover that Google Maps might shut down tomorrow. Sure, there are alternatives, but nothing will be the same universal adoption or reliability. And just like that, the cybersecurity world collectively held its breath. So what is CVE and why does it matter? Well, for those who might not be familiar, CVE stands for Common Vulnerabilities and Exposure. It's essentially a universal identification system for security vulnerabilities. Think of it like a social security number for security flaws. When researchers or companies discover a vulnerability, it gets assigned a unique CVE ID, something like CVE 2025 12345. This ensures that someone mentions a specific vulnerability, everyone knows exactly what they're talking about. The CVE program has been the backbone of vulnerability management for 25 years. It feeds directly into the National Vulnerability Database. It powers virtually every security scanner on the market and enables threat intelligence sharing across borders and industries. It's used by everyone from small IT teams to major corporations, government agencies, and security researchers worldwide. Without exaggeration, it's one of the most critical pieces of the infrastructure in cybersecurity. So what exactly happened? Well, on April 15th, 2025, MITRE's vice president dropped a bombshell on social media. The US government, which had funded the CVE program since its inception in '99, had decided not to renew MITRE's contract. With just 1 day's notice, the contract was set to expire on April 16th. In MITRE's own words, this could lead to a deterioration of national vulnerability databases and advisories, tool vendors, incident response operations, and all manner of critical infrastructure. Not exactly heartwarming news. Initially, CISA, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, said it was urgently working to mitigate the impact, and in what some are calling an 11th hour turnaround, CISA executed an extension to MITRE's contract. Crisis averted, right? Well, not exactly. The extension is reported to only last about 11 months. After that, we're right back to the uncertainty. So in response to this uncertainty, something remarkable has happened. A subset of the CVE board announced the formation of the CVE Foundation on April 16th. As Kent Landfield, an officer of the foundation, put it, CVE as a cornerstone of the global cybersecurity ecosystem is too important to be vulnerable itself. This new nonprofit foundation aims to ensure the long-term viability, stability, and independence of the CVE program. It's a clear acknowledgement that having a resource this critical tied to a single government sponsor creates its own vulnerability. As Andy Swift from 6 Degree put it, a single source of major funding is perhaps its biggest vulnerability in and of itself, and it is too important globally to be that reliant. The Foundation's goal is to eliminate this single point of failure and ensure the CVE program remains a globally trusted, community-driven initiative. To understand why this matters, let's consider what would happen if the CVE program suddenly vanished. First, vulnerability scanners would lose their universal reference point. These tools rely on CVE data to identify which systems are vulnerable to which threats. Without CVE, their effectiveness would be impacted. Security advisories would lose their standardized way to communicate threats. Imagine if every weather service suddenly used different terminology for storms. That's the level of confusion we would face. Global coordination on cyber threats would become fragmented in the same way that we have different namings for different threat actors. And perhaps most concerning, we understand that many of today's attacks stem from adversaries exploiting known vulnerabilities. Without a centralized system for reporting and tracking these weaknesses, organizations may miss critical opportunities to patch them, leaving their systems more exposed to potential attacks. This abrupt pullback from this pivotal component of cybersecurity puts the job into the hands of the individual companies and security tools rather than a unified front, potentially allowing attackers to step into the confusion. So is CVE still relevant? With all this drama, some might even wonder whether the system is still relevant. Has it been replaced by newer, better systems? The short answer is absolutely yes, it's still relevant. Despite being 25 years old, no alternative has achieved anywhere near its level of adoption or integration. The NVD, the National Vulnerability Database, is actually built on top of CVE data. It's not a replacement. CISA's known exploited vulnerabilities list also relies on CVE identifiers. Vendor-specific vulnerability trackers and newer systems like OSV or GitHub advisories are valuable supplements, but they're not comprehensive replacements for CVE. The reality is that CVE remains the linchpin of vulnerability management. It's embedded in virtually every security tool, policy, and procedure worldwide. So how do we prepare for an uncertain future? Well, what should organizations do in light of this uncertainty? Even with the temporary extensions, it's clear that the CVE program's long-term future isn't guaranteed. First, diversify your threat intelligence sources. While CVE is critical, it shouldn't be your only source of vulnerability information. We should also be leaning more heavily on resources like CISA's known exploited vulnerabilities list, the NVD, and coordinating closely with software vendors. Monitor alternative vulnerability flagging sources such as OSV or GitHub advisories and vendor-specific vulnerability trackers. It's also worth assessing how resilient your security tools are. Would your vulnerability scanners, SIMs, and other security systems still function effectively without CVE data? If not, talk to your vendors about their contingency plans. Finally, consider supporting the CVE Foundation. If you or your organization relies on CVE data, and let's face it, who doesn't, then you have a stake in ensuring its continued operation and independence. So this near miss with CVE funding has exposed a critical vulnerability in our global cybersecurity infrastructure, the dependency on a single funding source for a resource that the entire world relies on. While the immediate crisis has been averted with an 11-month extension, the long-term question remains unanswered. Will government funding continue? Will the CVE Foundation successfully take the reins? Or will we see some new hybrid model emerge? What's clear is that the cybersecurity community recognizes the value of CVE and is rallying to protect it. And we are likely to leave defenders at a massive disadvantage against global cybersecurity threats without it. So what do you think? Should the CVE program remain government funded, or is a community-driven foundation a better approach? Has your organization started preparing for the potential disruption to the CVE system? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you found this breakdown helpful, hit that subscribe button for more insights on evolving security landscape. Until next time, stay secure.